All right, it's time to talk about the co-main event that's taking place in Wichita, Kansas on Saturday at UFC on ESPN +4. We got Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. I think I'm just going to call him Eli Zaleski dos Santos going forward. He is going to be facing Curtis Millender. These are welterweights. Both guys can strike, man. This should be a really, really fun fight. Dos Santos is, by the way, a quiet like 6-1 in the UFC. So he just doesn't have the pop of a Millender, because I think Millender's just made more of his time with the lesser fights that he's had in the UFC. But both guys are definitely on the map if you follow the welterweights pretty closely. Dan, Tom, who do you like here?
You're right. Dos Santos has been real quiet, 6-1, but that's because he's been buried on prelims. This is the first time he's on a main card, and he's actually getting the co-main event slot now. He had a UFC Fight Night 137. He was supposed to face Bilal Muhammad, which would have been on the main card. Would have been another match that had me salivating, but this one's even better. We have two incredibly long strikers, and you know, guys that could be undefeated in the UFC. Obviously, Millender is an impressive, I believe, 3-0 off the top of my head there in the UFC. But like you said, 6-1. That's only a split decision loss in his UFC debut to Nicholas Dalby, so no shame there. I mean, these are really tough guys. They do have losses on their record, but they got it out of their way early. They were decision losses, submission losses. Both have really, made efforts, I would argue, to shore up the ground game. Though, a little interesting note, though, Zaleski dos Santos is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, earned that in the last couple of years off Rickson Gracie lineage, mind you. That being said, he doesn't really pursue the takedowns. I mean, he goes wherever the fight goes. This guy is a tornado. He spins, he boxes, he'll float to mount, he'll punch you from a back mount. He doesn't care. He is all action all the time, which makes him in Fight of the Night contenders or Fight of the Night. But against Millender can make you pay. He's countered crafty veterans, really good strikers out there. And that's kind of the difference I see, you know. Zaleski dos Santos is a dog, man. He will go out there and as a dog and as an underdog, he's made you a lot of money if you supported dos Santos. But he throws one strike, or maybe he will power strike 1-2. Not too much in the 2s and 3s, and not too much in the counter department. That's why I'm actually going to side with Millender here, guys. We've seen Millender in the regional scene or UFC. When guys go to kick his leg, he has a counter into a head kick. When he goes to jab off either stance, or when guys go to jab him, he has answers in almost every position. He also has some nasty knees himself, Curtis Millender does. So I'd say keep your money off it. Enjoy this fight. This is a fight I'm personally salivating so hard for. I know a lot of hardcores are too, so this is one you just want to sit back and enjoy. But for a pick, I'll go Curtis Millender.
And you mentioned the word money, so Millender's a slight favorite at this point, -120. Dos Santos, you still have to come in with a minus. He's the underdog, but you still have to do a -110 with him. So it's basically like a coin flip. What do you like here goes in this one?
Well, I was going to tell you guys, but I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted to be courteous.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to go with Millender here. I think his countering ability and his speed will be a little bit of a factor, but he has to up his game because, like you said, Dan, these guys were kind of like some of the best kept secrets in the UFC, but now it's kind of out, and it's more out on Curtis's side.
Yeah.
I think guys are starting to prepare even harder for this guy. It's no longer a surprise, so he's really going to have to up his game, but I think he'll have just enough to get by in this fight.
Okay, so that's 2 for Millender. Make it 3. I like him as well, but man, you're right. Dos Santos has been one of those guys I've been able to cash in on his streak, and I put him in a couple parlay pieces.
Nice.
I like, of course, I've always been a big proponent of the speed. I also like the length on Millender. Millender on the ground has scared me in the past until we started recently doing some interviews, and the guy's been wrestling since age like 5 or 6.
Right.
He's very formidable there. The only way I'd be scared is if Dos Santos took his back, and not necessarily just to submit him, but just to win rounds.
Sure.
But Millender's more comfortable on the ground than we give him credit for. I keep thinking, that's it. This one's going to be a tough round to win, or he could be in some trouble. But he, I think, just uses that time to be careful and poised and get back to his feet. And on the feet, although they both can strike, I just think Millender's a little bit more dangerous. So I'm going to go with Millender in this fight. It may go the distance just depending on how much tempo they have and how much pressure they put, because if they have respect for each other, they'll slow things down.
Yeah.
But if one guy can nick the other guy and get him on some wobbly legs, that both guys could definitely go out there and finish.
Neither have been stopped. They both took some shots. I mean, the shots Bahader's out of, that guy's no joke. And we saw Millender be able to take that. So, yeah, a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah, so it looks like it's pretty unanimous on Curtis Millender here for the MMA Junkie Radio team. And, hey, catch our show Monday through Friday 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on SiriusXM Fight Nation Channel 93.